Wednesday marked the final day of outgoing German Chancellor Olaf Scholz's term in office. Germany's center-left Social Democrats have now approved a deal to join a new coalition government, paving the way for the Bundestag to elect conservative leader Friedrich Merz as the country's new chancellor. How is the coalition going to deal with the biggest challenges the country is currently facing? How is it going to address the pressing issues in European security? Due to the fact that Germany is one of Central and Eastern Europe's major partners, a lot will depend on the course this coalition will take. To discuss what comes next, I'm joined by Germany's former ambassador to Poland, Rolf Nikel. Good evening, sir. Thank you for joining me on the program.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure. So the coalition seems to be finally taking shape. What will be the coalition's main points of focus, especially considering the challenges that Germany is currently facing?
Well, first of all, should I say that it's a big event today because we finally know for sure that there will be this new coalition government. The membership of the SPD, the Social Democratic Party, voted overwhelmingly in favor. And that's a good news, of course, obviously, for everybody. There are lots of challenges in front of us. The economy is not doing very well. Migration policy has been very much criticized in German public and has led, of course, to a rise in the popularity of the AfD, the most conservative, radical conservatives, and nationalist populists. And of course, Putin's war against Ukraine and what to do together is one of the most important issues of this new coalition government. But we're very happy that now the path is cleared. Friedrich Merz can be elected chancellor this coming Tuesday, and the government will then soon start to work because there's a lot of expectations and we need to work and move fast.
Indeed, a lot of expectations. So let's take a closer look at some of the points you made in your first response. Stagnation of the economy. How is the coalition going to address that issue?
Well, I think a lot depends on psychology. The economy is a lot of psychology, and there needs to be a clear decision and a clear view by everybody that something new has started. So there needs to be a lot of initiatives on many fields. Taxes will be reduced. There will be possibilities of for lots of other people in many fields. Suppose that, or it's even very necessary that we move very fast on these things in order to have growth that is higher than it is today. And we need to do this, of course, in a difficult political and economic surrounding. Look at the tariffs that President Trump has started and the discussions we have. And that will be a big challenge for the new government as well. And we need to do this together as Europeans, as commerce is a responsibility of the Commission. So we will have to work together on this and let ourselves not be divided by Mr. Trump and his administration.
One of the major issues, as you mentioned, is security, German security, European security, in face of a possible risk from the East. What does the coalition what is the coalition going to change in terms of regional security? How do you think they're going to move around that subject?
Well, first of all, I think, and Chancellor Merz, or designate Chancellor Merz, has already said this very clearly, that he wants to improve relations with Poland. There cannot be any advance in European developments, European security, European economy, if there is not a close cooperation between Germany and Poland. And one of the first visits of the new Chancellor will be to Poland. And Prime Minister Tusk and Chancellor Merz know each other very well from their common endeavors in the European People's Party. So I think that one is very important. So strengthening the relationship with Poland, strengthening the relationship with France, also in the Weimar Triangle, and try to work together and let us not be divided by anybody.
You mentioned division, so I would like to take this moment, since we're talking about security, to jump into the subject of the European nuclear deterrence. Basically, for Europe, this means an extension of the French nuclear umbrella. How do you think this issue is going to be tackled by the coalition?
Well, we should not jump to conclusions too fast in this context. President Trump has said many things, but he has not questioned so far the US nuclear guarantee for Europe. So from our side, we should not question it from our side. But of course, and Chancellor-designate Merz has asked for a debate on these issues with the French, because, as we all know, France is the only country within the European Union that has a nuclear deterrent of its own. Of course, Britain as well, but Britain is no longer member of the European community. So we need to think about possibilities, but not jump to conclusions too fast in order to avoid that a debate that hasn't started yet in the US administration doesn't gain traction.
Well, considering the last 100 days of the new Donald Trump administration in the U.S., I guess it's safe to say that we could expect some surprises. Hopefully, it won't come to that, but we need to have different options considered. When it comes to the Taurus long-range missiles to Ukraine, how is the coalition going to decide whether or not they're going to provide it? I mean, we've seen Mr. Pistorius, who was against. We see Mr. Merz, who is for it. How is the coalition going to address that?
Well, that's an interesting question, and of course, it's not easy to say under which circumstances these specific weapons should be delivered. Of course, they are important, and there is a decision to be made not only by Germany but by the whole of Europe, and we will have to see how this fits with the rest of the situation, which is the situation around the so-called peace talks, and how this all fits together. There is a high possibility that Germany will deliver these weapons, but it's not completely sure because it will depend on the situation as a whole. And I think that whatever is done needs to reinforce Ukraine's capabilities to defend itself against Russian aggression.
Our time's coming to an end, so very shortly, the final question. AfD, is this still a growing risk in Germany for them to possibly take power in the future, as they seem to be still gaining some traction in the country?
It is true that if you look at the polls, the AfD is gaining traction. But we should also keep in mind that they do not have any influence on the government at the moment. And it's up to the government now to show to the population that they can deliver on these issues that we discussed, on the issues of security, on the issues of migration, on the issue of the economy. And if that happens, then I think the popularity of the AfD will go down. But we need to work hard, we need to deliver, and we need to do this fast in order to get where we want to get together. And as if you allow me again at the end, security and all the other problems in Europe can only be solved in a close cooperation with Poland and Germany and France and the rest of Europe. That's Indeed. Very, very important at this stage.
Well, as you said, now is the time to deliver. Mr. Ambassador, thank you for joining. Rolf Nikel, former Germany's ambassador to Poland, was my guest on tonight's show.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And so this would be all for now here on World News Tonight, but please do stay tuned. We're back in just a moment with more news and features, and we'll see you there.